Well, hello, my fellow gamers, and welcome back. If you're new here, hi, I am Creative Katesy, aka Katesy, and welcome to my channel. Guys, I am so excited because now my dream address for Hobbiton has officially been released. So if you'd like to check out my island for yourself, my dream address will be listed in the video description below, as well as a link to my Instagram and the live stream event that I did around the completion of Hobbiton. So if you were not able to catch it earlier, we did a party celebrating Hobbiton being completed. We did a tour of the island, did kind of a runway activity with my partners who came in, joined me on my island party, and it was so much fun, you guys. I had a blast showing everybody everything, seeing everybody's Lord of the Rings inspired outfits. I mean, it was fun. It was so much fun. So I'm gonna submit or put a link down in the description below for you guys to check that video out for the official island tour of Hobbiton. For this video, mostly what we're going to be doing is showcasing some highlights of the island, places that I really enjoyed and had a lot of fun designing, or that I'm really proud of. And then we're also going to feature all of the villager homes on this island as well. So let's go ahead and start by checking out the map. Also, guys, if you are enjoying these videos, if you enjoy my channel, please make sure you're clicking that like and subscribe button, as well as that notification bell, so that way you can be alerted whenever I add new content to this channel. I definitely appreciate your support, and I absolutely love interacting with all of you. And if you want me to tour your island, check out some of my other videos on my channel. My dream address island tours all have a link to the form for you to submit your island for an island tour. So here's the official map of Hobbiton. I again had so much fun creating this island. I definitely ran into a bunch of challenges, as well as a lot of places that turned out not as I originally planned, but better in a way. Like, I had so many different ideas for how I wanted things to turn out on this island, and I ended up changing a bunch of things, and everything just kind of turned out so well. So I'm really proud of this island. For villagers, we have Murphy, Hamlet, Maple, Marty, Apple, Hazel, Marshall, Soleil, Sheldon, and Poppy. So all of my villagers are a little bit more on the shorter side, and that's because hobbits, if you're not familiar, are roughly about 3 to 4 feet in height, and typically are seen as children at the first glance, because that's typically around the height of a toddler or a small child. And so a lot of times people mistaken hobbits as being small children. So they are definitely representing, these villagers are definitely representing hobbits on this island, because I decided to choose villagers who are on the shorter side. So let's go ahead and start exploring this island. So if you start your tour from the airport here, coming from residential services and then coming to the airport, there are a bunch of gifts laid out here for you to pick up and use if you would like. If you want to immerse yourself into the Hobbiton culture, those clothing items would definitely do that for you. So first up on our list is Sheldon. Sheldon is our mill keeper. He's the one who runs the mill house, taking care of, grinding down grains and everything that we would need for different type of bakery items, things like that. So let's go ahead and check out his home. Welcome everyone to Sheldon's home. So Sheldon is one of a few villagers who have more of a unique style to their home design, and that's because they play a particular role or have a certain design in mind. And with Sheldon's home, he has the mill house. Now, this was challenging for one of two reasons. One, Sheldon's home was the very last home that I had started working on. And two, I really did not have any ideas of what a mill house looked like on the interior. So the struggle was very real in redesigning this home. I don't know how many Pinterest pictures I looked through for inspiration and ideas. I knew that I wanted to use the gear system that you see in the back corner there to kind of symbolizing and kind of work with the outside of this home. If you remember walking up, there was the merry-go-round that's supposed to kind of represent the water mill in a way, and then this is the inside of that process of the mill and things like that. So also wanted to have the kind of horses or donkeys in here too, because from what I could remember or saw in pictures, mill houses were sometimes needing to be run by donkeys to get, if the water wasn't flowing right or something was going on where they still needed to get the grain or whatever they were doing grinded down, they would then switch over to donkey power or mule power. So you'll see it's kind of split between the business side and the residential side. So in the front we have his bed, a place for him to have some food, and of course his little kitchen area, and then the back having the gears and the mules. So yeah, like I said, Sheldon's home was challenging because I was trying to think of how to design this home at probably 11 o'clock at night. So, but I am pretty proud of this build. It turned out a lot better than I thought it would, and so yeah, the end result is something that I'm definitely proud of. So I hope you guys found inspiration from this build, and thank you so much for checking out Sheldon's home. Alright, so next on our list is going to be Hamlet. Hamlet is our residential hobbit farmer. He was a lot of fun to design as well. I wanted him to kind of still have that like farmer feel on the interior, because most of his focus is on the exterior with his crops and his livestock. So let's go ahead and check out his home. Welcome all to Hamlet's home. So Hamlet is our Hobbiton farmer. So he's our hobbit farmer found. So as you can tell, he spends more of his time out tending his crops than he does taking care of the homestead. There isn't a lot of decoration or anything like that. Very open in terms of what you would find on the floor and things like that. Just because of the fact that I don't foresee a farmer spending a lot of his time indoors. Even if it's raining out, he would be outside tending to his crops, his animals, things like that. So I wanted that to be reflected in his home build. He would have obviously some books, some plants. He'd have the latest catch from the day, so that way we'd have a meal for dinner. He would have obviously some produce on the counter there. His clothes would be hung up to dry most likely, and he wouldn't necessarily take the time to make his bed, as you can see in the corner there. And just like any Hobbiton home, there wouldn't really be a lot of modern technology, because this series is really set in medieval fantasy. So there isn't a lot of technology there. Yes, I do have plumbing in here, but that's just because of the fact that it's easier to decorate with some modern technology. But I was trying very, very hard to kind of keep away from a lot of that, and Animal Crossing has a lot of modern decor. So that was my biggest challenge with any of these homes, is just taking that time to make sure that what goes into these homes would actually fit with the era. So that was my biggest challenge. But I do like how Hamlet's home turned out. It's just a very cozy home, and that's really what hobbit holes are supposed to be, are just cozy homes in which hobbits reside in. So I hope you guys all got some inspiration from Hamlet's home, and I hope you enjoyed touring it. Next we have Marshall. Marshall kind of represents the Sifo Bagginses. They are a relative to Bilbo Baggins. They kind of have this smug feel to them in a way. They really think very highly of themselves, and I felt like Marshall was a great representation of that because of the fact that he is a very smug villager. So let's check out his home. Welcome everyone to Marshall's home. If you remember his original home design, it was a very sleek, modern, kind of fancy little coffee and sitting area type design. And I wanted to continue with the more elegant side of Marshall. Whenever I think of his character and I thought of his home design, I just kept thinking kind of like the ironwood items. So the black and the wood, very sleek, very modernized. And so I wanted to incorporate that here in his home design as well. Originally, I was planning on this being another villager's design, but it just seemed to fit Marshall so well. He has still the room for all the plants, just like any hobbit would have, but he also has furniture in which he has invested in, so he saved some money to make sure that his furniture and his home design is a little bit more on the elegant side. And so that's how I really pushed his home to be. He still has kind of like the writing nook, which I pulled a little bit from Bilbo Baggins a little bit. I kind of harnessed Bilbo just a little bit in Marshall's design here with having the little study area, having the nicer furniture, things like that. So he still has his little coffee and tea up there, which we had from his original design, but for the most part, he just kind of kept with that elegant style and sleek style that just really seems to match Marshall so much. So I hope you guys find some inspiration in his home design here. Thanks for visiting. All right, so next we have Poppy. Poppy is one of the few villagers on this island that doesn't really have a backstory other than the fact that she maintains this flower field that you're seeing right here. This is a build that I am very, very proud of. I love how it really turned out. And she also sells flowers at the local market. She has this beautiful overview of this gorgeous lake. First time for me ever creating a lake like this, and I'm super proud with how it turned out. But let's go ahead and check out Poppy's home. Welcome everyone to Poppy's home. So by the time that I had gotten around to working on her home, I had already done several other Hobbiton home or Hobbit home styles, and so I was trying to think of a way to do this that would still embrace the Hobbiton feel or the Hobbit hole feel, but be different in terms of the layout and design structure. So we still have that one wall that separates or gives kind of a separation for the bedroom, but left majority of the room open to be able to move around and walk around in. As you can see, again, we have the one window that isn't a circular window, but again, that's just because of the fact that I didn't have a code that would allow us to see the backdrop that you see there, and also have that circular design. I also wanted for that backdrop to have to use the wallpaper that had the water, because as you remember from the exterior, Poppy's home is right next to the lake, and I wanted her to have that beautiful lake view. I know mountains aren't necessarily found in the Shire, but you know, we work with what we can. We still have the circular window right in front of her little spot to sit down to have some tea or to have a meal, things like that. And I wanted to give her more of a lighter tone and keep it open, airy, and give her pops of like pink in color. So that was another thing that I did with these villager homes, was just kind of have a color theme that was carried out throughout the entire home. So you'll see the bedspread is pink, the flowers and the plants are pink. I thought about doing the drapery pink, but then it just kind of looked weird in a way, so I was just like, alright, we'll just leave it at that. And then keep it with a natural tone as well. Overall, I love how her home turned out. It definitely was a push outside of my normal comfort zone, but the results are phenomenal. I hope you guys enjoyed this little home tour and that you all find your own inspiration for your own villager homes. So next on our list is Maple. Let's go back and check out her home. So a little background story for her. She is a beekeeper on the island. She manages her own little area back here, has this adorable little shed here as well, and just kind of has a little small flower farm, not to the grandness as Poppy's, but just something to help her manage her bees. But let's go ahead and see her home. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Maple's home. So this is kind of the idea that I had for Maple. I was kind of brainstorming the idea of using yellow. So if you guys have seen my past island tour videos or live streams, I've mentioned that yellow is a struggling color for me. And so for me to try to go outside my box a little bit and use it as one of the dominant colors that I decorate with, it was very challenging for me, I have to say. But I did pair it with green to kind of help with that decoration and stuff, but also wanted to keep with the Hobbiton feel of the home. With the Hobbiton, it kind of has like this Victorian feel where rooms are segregated, but it's kind of hard to do that with the small space that we're using. So I did use a divider wall for more of the bedroom and then left the rest of the house open. And as you can kind of see here, I do have some custom codes on the wall for more of the circular windows. I know the back wall doesn't offer the same. Sadly, I could not find a code that would allow me to do that. So with that, I know the back window isn't a traditional Hobbiton or Hobbit hole window, but I still really like how it turned out. I like that there is a little bit of a view for Maple to look out of while she is cooking, as well as the makeshift windows on either side. So yeah, this is Maple's home. I hope you guys like it as much as I like how it turned out. Thank you for visiting. Maple is one of my favorite villagers in Animal Crossing, so I really enjoy making certain little areas for her character. Next we have Hazel. Again, another character that I don't really have a backstory for, but I really enjoyed her home. Like, I was really surprised with how it turned out. So let's check it out and I'll explain more about her home and the process of making it. Welcome everyone to Hazel's home. So this one took a very unexpected turn. When I started designing Hazel's home, it was very, very late at night, and Hazel was one of the last villager homes that I was working on, and I just kind of ran out of ideas. By this point, I had already done so many different homes with the same feel, look, etc. And so I was just really running on fumes at this point and ended up turning to Pinterest for some inspiration. And that's when I found a picture that just really sparked this build. I know it's not what you've seen so far with Hobbit homes, but I really do like how this home turned out in the end. It really surprised me. This is probably one of my favorite homes that I have here on Hobbiton. So this one really, really shocked me, especially because I did this so late at night and it came out so well, and I'm so proud of it. So I wanted to go with the natural tones. I wanted to go with a very, like, kind of not cozy, but like she kind of does her own sewing. She does her own stitch work, things like that. So my idea was that she sits by the fire there, stitches patterns, quilts, whatever you want to consider, makes her own clothes in a way. That was really what sparked my ideas for this build, as well as the Pinterest image that I saw. So that's kind of how I imagine Hazel now. She just kind of is a homebody and just stays at home and just sews, does quilts, things like that. So as you can see, she did her own bedspread. I would totally hire her to create my bedspread if that was the end result. So yeah, this is Hazel's home, and that was my vision for it. I hope you guys found inspiration for your home builds, and thank you so much for touring Hazel's home with me. Next on our list is Apple. Apple is such a cutie. I love this little hamster. I had a plan for her when I originally started making her home, but ended up going in a completely different direction. So let's go in, check it out, and I'll explain more. Welcome all to Apple's home. So this was a build that kind of surprised me a little bit. I went in to designing this home with an idea of what I wanted to have happen, the type of furniture I wanted to have, and as I started constructing it and started putting it all together, it took a completely different turn. I was thinking originally that I would have a little bit more red involved in Apple's design because of the fact that Apple is red and wanted to kind of incorporate that into her home. Well, as you can see, there's not any red except for the plants. It really surprised me the direction this kind of went and the design that I went with. Originally, I was planning on having some walls in here and doing some other things in here, and it just didn't go that direction. But at the end of it all, I actually really enjoy how this turned out. Yeah, it's not got a separation of a wall or anything like that, like we've seen with the other homes, but I do love how open and airy this home is. It's very cozy. It would be a home that I would actually really love to stay in. And so you have an area to sit down and read a book, you have a place to cook, a place to write, and obviously a place to rest your head at night. And like I said, this was a build that really surprised me, and I am just so happy with how it turned out. So I hope you guys found inspiration from Apple's home, and thank you so much for touring it with me. Okay guys, we are getting close to the end of our villagers. I did want to kind of showcase right over here my own home. This is supposed to be Bag End. I do go into extensive detail on my live stream about each room, my thought process, things like that. All of that is in the live stream, so I again highly encourage you guys to go check that out. We're not going to go in here because of the fact that we went through such extensive detail on the live stream, and I don't want to necessarily kind of do double the information here. I want to keep these videos enjoyable, so we will continue onward. We'll go right past the party area and the party tree. And our next villager is going to be... Oh, let's actually go to Soleil down here. She is our barkeep for the Green Dragon. She represents Rose, a character in Lord of the Rings who is the love interest to Samwise Gamgee. Samwise being the travel companion to Frodo Baggins on his way to Mordor to destroy the Ring of Power. So her home design is based around the pub, the Green Dragon. So let's go check that out. So welcome to Soleil's home, aka the Green Dragon. If you're unfamiliar with this location, it is a bar/pub found in the Shire and in Hobbiton specifically. This is where, after a long, hard day of labor, the hobbits will come in to enjoy a refreshing drink, if they actually did a hard day of labor. But I wanted to kind of create Soleil's home as the Green Dragon, specifically because of one character on Lord of the Rings, and that is Rosie. Rosie is the love interest to Samwise Gamgee, Samwise being the travel companion for Frodo, who carries the ring all the way to Mordor. So Rosie is, I don't remember if she owns the bar or if she's just a waitress there, but Soleil just kind of made me think of Rosie for some unknown reason. And so I wanted to model this home after that connection. And so I installed this bar. You see the custom patterns on there. There's also the window, which we're going to see here on this back wall here. I know, again, it's not the traditional circular window that you find in Hobbiton, but it still allows for a beautiful view of the countryside that I would consider Hobbiton, or aka the Shire. And so that is why I kind of considered this for Soleil's home and just kind of kept it a nice clean bar. I wish I could have added more, but I didn't want to make it seem overly crowded or cluttered, as there wasn't a lot that I could go off of. We only get a few shots of the Green Dragon in the Lord of the Rings series, so there's not a lot to really work with and to work as far as like design elements or architectural or anything like that. So I just wanted to again keep it a very simple pub in which Soleil works in. So I hope you enjoyed this little home tour of her Green Dragon, and I hope you guys found inspiration for your own home builds. So our next villager is our villager Hermit, which is very odd for this character. I didn't expect myself to create this for this particular villager. So typically when I've ever seen villager homes for Marty, they've been very bright, they've been very much a reflection of him being a very social character. In this situation, I actually switched it up and made it so that way he's more of a bachelor and solitary character. So let's check out his home and I'll explain more about my thought process there. Welcome to Marty's home, everybody. So I know Marty is our cute and cuddly bear on the island, just like Maple is, but for him, I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different, a little outside of what I would consider the norm for Marty, because usually when I've seen home designs for Marty, it's been very cute and cuddly and things like that. This time I decided, you know, I want to make him kind of have this bachelor pad in a way. Have him have this desire to go fishing, very similar to that of a bear cub having that desire to go fishing and stuff like that. So I focused on his home being a bachelor pad with the bed not always being made, clothes thrown over the couch, as you can see, cans just kind of tossed off to the side, but yet still having a little bit of nature's touch in there with all the flowers and plants that you can see in the corner there. And obviously having the fish on the counter there. All of this kind of matches with the exterior of his home, which I set up to be a fishing spot. So you have to kind of jump over a river to get to his home, and outside of there is a place for him to sit down, do some fishing, and just kind of relax. He's also a little secluded as well. Not necessarily intentional or anything like that. It's just how everything just kind of worked out, and I wanted to reflect that solitude or solitary life into his home as well. It's pretty tidy, but at the same time there are some messes here and there, as if he's really trying to keep things clean, but you can tell it's not 100% a priority. But yeah, this is Marty's home. I hope you guys found inspiration with his home design. Okay, so we have one final villager. On our way there, we have this amazing winding river path. Again, another build that I'm just absolutely proud of. I loved how this turned out. I found something on Pinterest that really truly inspired me to create this. So as a way to kind of fill up the space on the island, I incorporated it there, and I just really love how it turned out. So this last villager is Murphy. He represents Farmer Maggot. Farmer Maggot is a human who lives on the outskirts of the Shire. He is human. And we first meet him in Lord of the Rings when Merry and Pippin, fellow hobbits who travel with Frodo and Sam, after they have stolen some of Farmer Maggot's crops, we hear him in the background yelling at them and chasing them down, wanting to get his crops back. So Murphy was a great representation of that character because he's got a very deep, raspy voice, and I just thought that he would just be a great fit. So let's check out his home. So Murphy is one of the few villagers on the island that I did something a little bit different with the interior of their home, and that's because he is one of the few villagers who has kind of a role on the island. So he and his home is supposed to represent a character in the Lord of the Rings named Farmer Maggot. He is a character who kind of lives on the outskirts of the Shire and is a human in comparison to the hobbits, who are pretty much look like children to somebody who's just kind of glancing at a hobbit. And so Farmer Maggot is a farmer, and he has a bunch of crops, things like that. And this is where we see Merry and Pippin for the first time. They are stealing produce from his farm, and so Farmer Maggot is chasing them down, wanting to get his produce back. And so for his interior design, I wanted to keep it very simple because he spends a lot of his time out in the fields that he doesn't really need to have a lot of fanciness within his home. And of course he has some produce there on the counter. He has his bed, of course, and then just a very, very simple design here. I do have that he has a fish up above on the wall there, just because if he does ever have time, he goes out and gets a fish to have for dinner. And of course, that is a trophy fish. You don't eat trophy fishes. Just, you don't do that. So yeah, it was kind of fun to do something a little bit different with his home, because by this point I had done several other villager homes as hobbit holes, and so to pull away from that a little bit was a little bit of a treat, and I just kind of had fun keeping it simple. Sometimes it's almost harder to do simpler designs than it is to do complex, because of the fact that you're like, oh, I don't want the build to be overwhelming based upon the character they're trying to portray. So yeah, this is Murphy's home. I hope you guys all found inspiration as we toured his home, and I hope you enjoyed this little home tour. Oh my goodness, guys, that is the conclusion of my island and visiting all of the villager homes. I hope you found inspiration. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you haven't had a chance to do so, check out my live stream event of the Hobbiton completion party. There we walk through all of Hobbiton. I explain in detail my thought process when it came to building this island and all the things that I went through with that. So again, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. I hope you really truly enjoyed it. If there's a spot that inspired you, that you enjoyed, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear about it. But wherever you guys are in this amazing world, have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep on being inspirational. And until next time, guys, bye-bye.